This is Jerry Sasan. I'm so glad to be back to another episode of Audit Tuesday. I want to welcome everyone. Today, we're going to talk about, on this edition, we're going to talk about where we explore how the modern data center are being redesigned for security, resilience, AI, and zero trust. And with me today, joining us, I've got my colleague, Robert Hiliker. By the way, my name is Jerry Sasan, and I'm the CEO of EdgeRealm. If you look us up on the website, it's EdgeRealm.ai, or you can go to sovereignandresponsibleai.com. We are the sovereign and responsible AI company, and we'll talk a little bit about that. You understand that hopefully before we get off this meeting. Robert Hiliker is our Chief Strategy Officer. He's got I'll let him give his background, but Robert's been one of my career mentors in the technology space. And, I've heard him liken technology to the mafia, and you just can't leave, right? He's tried to retire, but I've brought him back out, and now he's really leading us. His brilliant mind has put together, I think, a really great offering for us, and we're really glad to have him. And also from the identity and governance space, representing identity and governance, we've got Garrett Grajek, who's the founder of Audit Tuesday. Audit Tuesday, and of YouAttest, the identity governance automation, and he's a key partner within the EdgeRealm Vault. And so thank you guys for joining. I also want to introduce Kashif Mehmood. Kashif is the Director of Field Services for YouAttest. And we're going to have a great conversation. Number one, we're going to have fun. I always ask my little 3-year-old niece, we take care of, are you having any fun? And we're going to have fun. So
there's always a chance, Jerry. I work
always,
with you.
Always. Let's kick it off. Let's get it really fun, because I know Mr. Hiliker likes to be throwing some moments of brilliance that kind of make me laugh. But Robert, take it away. Give us a little introduction on yourself. Talk about your background. Who are you? And why are you here?
Sure thing. Well, thank you very much, Garrett and Jerry, and appreciate being on here again. I had an opportunity to be here before, but this is a reprise, and some things have changed, and for the good since the last conversation I think we had along some of these lines. I wasn't representing ER Vault or EdgeRealm at that time. We were something else. But anyway. At this point in time, I've gotten here and gotten all this gray hair because I've been in every aspect of the data spectrum, from the wireless side to the wireline side to the transport side to the network side, and from the physical all the way to the application. I've been involved throughout the industry, 38 years in the industry. And just being at the peak of each one of these great opportunities, and here we are again at the peak of another one, which was, we used to admiringly take people down to the data center. That was the thing. You took them down to the data center, you showed them the man trap, you showed them how secure it was. You couldn't hear them talking while we were walking through the aisles, and it was freaking cold. But, we were able to demonstrate that we had capability to be able to perform the tasks that they were looking for. And so, we are at that place now, but now is the time for us to start to rethink, to re-articulate, to better understand the actual platform that we're talking about, because it has been articulated to this point to be that for a hyperscaler. That means that there's just this huge requirement for data consumption. And so, yeah, I want to speak to that in our conversation here, and get into whatever questions that you might have. So I'll let it go from there. If you wanted a long resume, I can't even remember what I had for breakfast, to be honest with you guys.
Hey, the golden brown Florida tan just looks great with the
I'm
gray
retired.
hair, though.
I put all that behind me. Look, Don Quixote got off the horse at some point in time and sat down at the well and had a glass of water with the nice chiquita.
I was tired yesterday, and I'm tired again today, so I guess I'm retired too.
You got it.
Garrett, tell us a little bit about yourself. Who are you? What are you known for?
Who is that? I'll let Kashif go. Kashif, take it away.
Kashif, go ahead. Yeah, Kashif, introduce yourself.
Yeah, thanks, Jerry. Thanks, Garrett. My name is Kashif. I'm the director of field services at YouAttest, and it's been 5 years with the company, and enjoy my role being in a GRC role, in a development role, in product management, designing strategies, designing the product to cater for the upcoming needs. Now the AI is in the picture, so yes, we are all here to discuss that, and I'll take away whatever I
Yeah.
take from this meeting and from others to my team, and try to build the product according to those rules and of engagement that are coming in the market, and now make the product compatible to what people are looking for these days in terms of identity and security and GRC practices.
Awesome. Awesome. Garrett, you want to give us
Garrett
your background?
Identity guy. Been doing all the identity stuff. I've been doing identity since I've been in an office close to the current one I'm at right now. And my girlfriend would bring me my lunches on Saturday and Sundays to install X509 for RSA.
Wow.
That's now my wife, so I can say that.
Wow.
Okay, that was when I was doing the first A of the triple A of the identity trilogy. The first one was RSA. That's authentication. Okay. Then I went to integrity, which was single sign-on and built secure auth. That's authorization. The third A of identity I'm focused on is YouAttest. Me and Kashif are bringing a solution for audit. Audit doesn't mean just those guys that fly in and ask too many questions. Audit means governance, that the enterprise itself can look at what they deployed, and in this case, the EdgeRealm data vault, and the right people and the right non-people, the NHIs, have access, and only have that access. And that's what we do here at YouAttest.
Give us those 3 A's again.
Authentication, authorization, audit.
And audit. Okay, great. Thank you.
And you're not compliant if you cannot quantify those 3. That's it. And remember that in everything you do. Those are the 3 A's of identity.
That's great. That's a great way to simplify that. So let's start off. Let me toss some questions out there. Robert Hiliker, I'll start with you. How has the modern data center changed with the rise of AI, hybrid cloud, and distributed infrastructure?
Well, in terms of size and density, outside of those 2 things that have expanded exponentially, nothing else has changed. The reality is that we're just building it bigger, and that's to accommodate this notion that we have that somehow bigger is better or can do more. What that's doing is it's trying to aggregate more data and be able to spew out more data quicker. And that's not the game we're in. We're in the game of data sovereignty, getting out of the sewer pipe, getting out of the cesspool of data that's out there, and beginning to put a wrapper around our sovereign environment, that data which we can know and trust, and that meets those standards and requirements and can be attested to. That's what we're trying to accomplish here in this effort with the ER Vault. Because if you're a company and you're not sitting back right now thinking, what's our plan B, Bob, then you're clearly not having the right conversation with yourself, because the conversation, if you're in the IT space right now, should be, where are the lifeboats on this very large Titanic that we happen to be on right now? And I'm not trying to be a naysayer on data centers. They're going to occur. They're occurring. That's not what we're talking about. What I'm talking about is the integrity and sovereignty of data, and how we can ensure that goes forward into the future, whatever calamity might befall that environment. And so what I would say is that there's this vast expanse of integrated networks out there that are all linked together by pieces of metal, by hardware and software, and they're stitched. And let me tell you, when AI gets an understanding of that architecture, it will find its way into masquerading and mimicking the user to where it cannot be detected. The AI can undermine those systems because those systems are being built on a platform that is out of date. It's been the same platform we've been on for a long time. And now we have to start thinking about what is it that we're trying to accomplish out there with all of this gear and all of this stuff. Well, it's this process. Well, okay, what is that process and how can we articulate that process in an environment that it can be dependable, that it can occur in a good way and not be somehow altered or manipulated. And that's really kind of what we're talking about here in terms of sovereign, is that
if you don't have sovereignty over your data, you don't have control of it.
Well, you don't. Once your data goes out into whatever it goes out into, you don't even know. Most people don't. You got a pretty map of it, but the reality is it's an absolute hodgepodge out there. And people don't, the IT budgets have become almost a thing of the past. It's almost as if it's like an arms race out there. If we're not spending money on building more IT or buying more IT or having more IT capability, then we're losing the race. And that's kind of how it's occurring. That's how people are responding. And so we have to sort of put the brakes on that and go, what is the calamity that you're preparing for? Because the truth is that if you can rescue your data and keep your data in a vault somewhere, you don't have to worry about all the noise that's going on out there.
So let's bring that back to identities.
Yeah.
Why do you believe identity governance must now be considered part of the core data center architecture instead of just a security add-on?
You asking me? Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Because you can't bolt it on anymore.
Yeah.
That's the problem. The AI lives inside of wherever you're going to put the bolt. And that's the truth of it. It is going to be part of the landscape. When AI went out there, or Claude or whoever went out there and learned COBOL, the impact to IBM was significant, because now all of these guys that they have been getting 15% of their revenues from are no longer really needed if there was an agent that could do that and perform that task in COBOL, which Claude clearly proved it could. So when it comes to identities, we have to understand that the AI is designed to masquerade and mimic us as best as it possibly can. And so that's what it's going to do. And eventually it's going to be able to clear through these hurdles, whatever hurdles we've put in front of it, and usually at the weakest link. And the bigger the infrastructure that we build out there, the more links there are to break. So, we want to kind of help companies get out of that whole game. That's not the game that you should be in as an enterprise. The game you should be in is how do you keep your business generating revenue even in uncertain times, and certainly don't be a part of the problem by having all of your eggs in that basket when it goes pop.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm
Garrett, do you want to go on top of that and share your thoughts? Why is identity governance becoming a critical requirement for the modern data center?
But most importantly, just to prove that we're live, did you see what Robert just did? He took a hydro break. Know your FIFA. It was a good hydro break there. Everyone, take your hydro break.
I take my hydro break.
There you go.
Cannot stop my hydro break.
I forgot mine.
No,
sorry.
Most importantly, Jerry and Robert and Kashif, you know what's the most important thing about identity? No one gives a damn about my opinion. What matters is there are extremely big groups that have said, if you're deploying AI, you have to care about identity. What I'm namely referencing right now is the wonderful work from ISO, our European friends in the compliance risk industry, really risk industry, shouldn't say compliance at all. ISO 42001 is a hands-on, quantified list of controls and actions and procedures an enterprise needs to conduct to have secure AI. I got some slides I might show later, but I'll explain it right now. Basically what they do is they go and they quantify and say, listen, if you're having secure AI, you should know who collected the data. You should know who's involved in storing the data. You should know who's involved in training the data. you should know who's involved in writing the code. And that's the wonderful thing of what EdgeRealm has done, is taking all those components and then putting them into a container. And it makes it much easier to actually go in and quantify it. And just to be thorough, there's other regulations and guidances on them. There's the American NIST AI RMF that goes again, and once again, it quantifies over and over again. And if you need it, I can map it out for you. I have the files, just write me about how identity is important. And the one I really like is the OWASP top 10 in AI. And most of them are quantified about you having access control and attestation, that is knowing who has access to the AI. So the bottom line is, Jerry, to answer your question, identity is part and parcel of a governed AI.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Kasha, feel free if you want to jump on top of that. Any comments you want to share around importance of identities management in AI?
Sure, I will. But yeah, I mean, adding to what Garrett just said, I mean, we are now, positioning around AI governance as well, within YouAttest, aligning with the NIST AI, RMF, and ISO, IEC 42001, prepping for also the EU AI Act as well. So yeah, it's all relevant.
Absolutely.
Yeah, good point.
Back to you, Robert. From your experience, what are the biggest security mistakes most organizations make during data center modernization, or we'll say build out, if you will?
They keep adding more stuff. I mean, that's what they're doing. They just keep adding more stuff.
Yeah.
That they just keep building the tower bigger and more like Jenga, and that so I want to be clear. When they build out, what they're doing is just taking the current understood standard architecture and expanding it across a bigger area, creating more compute cycles and storage capability,
boiling more ocean,
burning up more water, eating up more power. I mean, that's in essence what's happening. That's what's occurring. And it will continue to occur. That's not what the question we're trying to get at here. What we're really talking about is how do you build in? How do you take and learn your own stuff?
Build to the mission.
Yeah, you build your own. Your small language model, your LLM, whatever you want to call it. We provide the environment where that can sit and be able to ingest your very specific data and not share it with anybody. It's learning its own stuff. And once it learns its own stuff, it can start to articulate things inside of it. Like it can start looking at workflows and saying, this doesn't work. Like there's a remediation for this if you want it. And I'm like, yeah. And then it gives me my remediation for that workflow. And I go, well, that makes much more sense. And let's go ahead and move there. Well, then it says, okay, well, I'm going to make sure that all of this falls inside of the GRC. And I'm going to bring the right people to do the right jobs in the right time and the right task with the right apps and all that good stuff, permissions and policies. And I'm going to generate that for you in this workflow. And I'm going to do it in such a way that it's going to all be expedited. And that's the difference. We don't have the human timeline to have to deal with in that. And that's what the agentic AI will do for workflow. And so you want to make sure that if you're going to depend on that workflow, that it's going to a nice, clean, safe, sterile pool of data. And that's what we're about. We want to ensure that
trusted pool. So how does ZeroTrust play into that, right?
Yeah,
how does that change the way infrastructure operations and security teams are going to manage this modern environment?
Yeah, you have to define trust, right? And trust is what is truth, right? I mean, that's the paramount question here, because I'm not saying this in any way to berate any of the providers that are out there, but you can't trust them. I mean, it just in that's why you have to put all these barriers in. That's why you have to implement all of these functions and these capabilities and monitor all of these endpoints, is because you can't trust them. You have to protect your own network. And so in that regard, this isn't a zero trust network because you're defining trust. Trust is what you say trust is, and that trust is going to be in the GRC. It's going to be what you define it to be for your organization. And once that occurs, then you have a zero trust network. You have a truly, it doesn't want to infer any other alternatives. It goes by the guidelines of what it calls trust. And so
you're not dependent on just
Yeah.
the provider's GRC. And Garrett, I know you want to go on top of that regarding identity governance support for zero trust.
What the world needs to understand, and if I'm talking like I'm Joe Expert, well, zero trust is an identity thing. And I love zero trust, okay? Because zero trust, if you go all the way back to the 2000s when Google invented Beyond Corp, and that was the first paper around zero trust, they said what? They said, we can create a secure environment without a network. And that's pretty revolutionary. We're talking, 26 years ago, right? And someone's going to say, and when that came out, I was working at Cisco, helping, secure VPNs and, setting up routers, that kind of stuff, right? But Zero Trust said, what we're going to do is we're going to take, and I'm going to use it again, the second A, authorization. And what authorization means is that just because you authenticated way back here doesn't necessarily mean I trust you now that you're doing this action. I will reuse all the information that I have now to take the identity that you hand me, and now I'll say, okay, but now you're doing what? Now you're redoing my models, right? And that's where EdgeRealm comes in, because you have a self-contained unit and you say, no, I'm not going to let you rewrite the models. I'm not going to let you redeploy them because I'm completely owning everything. I'm owning all parts of the data collection, of the data sovereignty, of the data execution, of the algorithms. That's what zero trust is. It is complete control of the entire transaction of the identity, not just the authentication, but the authorization, then the use of data. And Kasha, for the hell of it, let me put you on the spot. How does YouAttest map to Zero Trust?
Yeah, I mean, our starting point is those IAMs, right? We do integrate, we plug into those IAMs just to authenticate, and we don't stop there. Once a user authenticates into the system, if that user has access to a particular resource, a group or an application, we let them access that group or application. If they already have access to that group or application, we pull the data to review and to let the reviewers take a look at it and say, well, this shouldn't be there. This person should not have access to this container. Why is he having these permissions?
Exactly.
So if that's something we can flag before that person could execute anything inside the environment, we're good. We are doing the identity audit. We are just taking action proactively instead of reacting after something happens when that identity takes some action or escalates permissions or do something weird within the system. So that's where YouAttest stops these actors.
The enemy of zero trust is global permissions.
You're on mute, Garrett. I'm sorry.
Oh, is it?
No.
Okay, so it was delayed. I'm sorry.
The enemy of zero trust is global permissions. Is not locking down your permissions and just saying, yeah, I'll give it an access. Just because
what are the other can you list some of the biggest identity and access risks organizations they overlook during cloud and infrastructure modernization project? What are they missing?
All the connecting points that you have no control of. Those are in a closet that was run and owned by some other company. It's the transport layer. I don't know which server that's on, which circuit that's running on. We don't know that. And that's the whole point. That's why the cloud is so, and forgive the pun, but so nebulous. It just has this way of morphing and sort of delivering what's being requested. And that's not really how you do it. You can't there's this new thing called AI psychosis that everybody sort of starts talking about, that people have developed relationships with their AI such that now they take it as gospel, that this is the truth. It must be. And then when it says, dude, there's no way you're getting her back, you might as well just eat a bullet. Okay, and I hate to say it, but that's kind of the truth of how we can be drawn down this line. So I'm not trying to make this about the evils of AI. I'm trying to say that AI has great benefit to the businesses if they responsibly and ethically introduce it into their data stack. And we have a vehicle in which they can do that and feel confident that will not get out into the wider world or be part of somebody else's model. What the big,
I think a lot of companies aren't even sure they're ready. They don't even know
exactly
whether or not they're ready for AI.
Well, they're being invited to this future event. As soon as we get this data center up and running, you are going to be our first tenant inside of this multi-tenant environment, and we're going to give you a nice big suite. And you're like, really? That's fantastic. And how much is that going to cost? And then that's the small part. That's the part you put in the budget. The part that's not in the budget is all the tokens that you're going to be using and all of the exchange that you're going to be doing, inferencing things through their models. That's the part that the CFO should be sitting here going, you're right. That thing just keeps going up, and everybody goes, yeah, don't worry about that. It's part of doing business. No, it's not.
We have a really quick way of being able to tell whether they're ready. Go on our website, take the sovereignty survey, and that'll give you a real clear vision of, where do you stand today? Are you doing these things today or you're not, right? And identity governance or user access reviews is part of that. Yeah. And you can get on a scale from 1 to 10, tell you how prepared are you for agentic AI. And if you're not, let's talk. We offer a very inexpensive $10,000. We'll come in for a couple of weeks, sit down with you, and help develop a blueprint for you on how to get there. And we'll propose our Edge Vault.
Nice.
So, Garrett,
Can I go on top of what you just said and
go ahead.
The slides of this before we go on? Here we go. Okay, Srinivas, let's go. I'm going to do entire screen. So watch this. So Jerry's team and of course Robert and you and Jess been working a while together.
Yeah, Hydro.
What we'll do is add Hydro break. FIFA Hydro break, guys. Come on. Kasha.
Every 10 minutes without fail.
That's right.
Or you'll get the yellow card.
So EdgeRealm is your data vault. It is your container. It's everything that executes to run your AI. It's the servers, it's the data, it's etc. Okay, where does identity governance is? We did the standard GRC thing. We threw out some acronyms like ISO 4201, NIST, IRF, RMF, and the top 10 OWASP. But let's break it down. You have human identities, and what the controls are saying is, what does he have access to? Should they have access to? That's what the third A is, attestation audit. Should they have access? And do they have the proper amount of access? Okay, and we're going to show a demo on that later. Okay, that's what Kashyap will be doing. And also, you have to start thinking, though, what are your NHIs? What have you, everyone throws out agentic AI, sounds good in the hallway, sounds good at the conference. Okay, there's actually an identity running agentic AI. There always is. There has to be, right? What have you given it permission to?
They're like the maids in the rich people's house. They see everything and they can't unsee it, right?
There should be a law. Every webinar has to have a Texan because they always have the best analogies. And I went to UT, I can say that. Well done. It's like they're like the maids in the rich house.
It's the heat, I promise.
There you go. The other thing that's really hard to answer is, okay, you've got this agentic AI, you got this identity, you got this maid in the rich house. Who's governing that one? Who's actually knows and who's responsible? You are required in the governance principles to be able to not only quantify what your agentic AI IDs are, but also who is the heartbeat associated with it. And we do that, okay? I'm going to just lay it out, just this one chart. I have some fun with this. As I say, this is sample AI deployment in this case. So who are the people that you should be able to quantify? You got to be able to quantify who's using this. That says straight out. And Kasha brought up the EU AI Act. That's part of the AI Act. What is it does and who is it for? Second of all, now let's get into your world. What are your web and your admins that actually are running this tool? Fine. You have to quantify those, and you should be thinking this. When I say this, you should be able to do this on all these every quarter, and I'm going to lay out which ones every month. Now we're getting into the application admins and the programmers. The people who are actually owning the data, those got to be quantified every month, because that's who is actually access to your data and to the algorithms. Once again, the data people, the people who are actually touching and holding and manipulating data. So you get your algorithm people every month, and then you got your data owners. That's every single regulation goes hard on that you have to be able to show who and what the chain of custody was. And the chain of custody is who actually had access to those while you did it. And then lastly, the people who are running it, the applications and own the actual applications and actually support. This has to be quantified for your AI projects. And that's what we did with EdgeRealm. We bundled this all together into the EdgeRealm Data Sovereignty Vault.
Wow. Will you train my sales guys?
Yeah, I'd say we're doing it right now. There you go.
Yes, thank you. Well put. Very well put. Robert, you want to add anything to that, or comments, or Kashif, feel free.
I can't add anything to that. I mean, Garrett hit it on the head. I mean, if we can define our own truth and we can manage and support that, and identities are, like he said, I mean, the agentic AI, the bot, whatever, is an identity, and it's assuming an identity at least, and it's going to try to mimic us as much as it can. And inside of these larger, more global networks, that it's going to pass the muster somewhere, and that's what we're about. We're about making sure that it's identified as an anomaly in the moment. And
so why don't we go into that? Why don't we go into that? Why don't you give us a quick overview of the ER Vault for the audience? You know, what it does, who's it built for, and what makes it architecturally different from traditional AI infrastructure.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, so in my background, and I've worked for companies like Sprint, and I can name drop, and what they did with Nextel and all that's a whole other story. But I will tell you that at the end of the day, the ability to sit with all of these companies, the layers that they were in, and be able to see how they work. I got to where I got to the advent of SD-WAN and putting that out there for clients. And that just sort of took away the whole frame relay market segment altogether. I mean, SD-WAN just revolutionized it. And all it was doing was just orchestrating some layers together, just making sure that all of that was being automated. And with AI, we have the ability now to be able to compress all 7 layers of the OSI model, to be able to orchestrate across those layers and to be able to maintain the relationships across those layers and the identities across those layers and all of that we can orchestrate that in a good way, utilizing agentic AI components that are being orchestrated by the Beethoven composer. That I got to give credit to Jerry. He came up with Beethoven. I think of a very large shaggy dog, but apparently it's
the orchestrator
in Germany. But
there's actually 10 partners across our entire GRC wrapper, right? And we can get into that later. But essentially, that's our big differentiator with the Vault. It's not just infrastructure; it's smart infrastructure, if you will. It's
the intelligence. It's the intelligence
to keep it compliant.
Yeah. And so we take our cues, from the GRC, anyway, I mean, where it's an immersion environment. It's a single phase immersion environment. It can be modified to go into containers or buildings or offices or what have you. It's multiple different sizes, small, medium, and large.
The small is
We
as
can
small
get
as a 10U, about the half the size of a refrigerator, a double a side-by-side refrigerator. It's about half high, and it gives you 10U, and it you know, you can pack enough compute power in there to run an office building, you know, and many workflows. And we can get as large, like Robert said, as a 40-foot container full of tanks. How much compute you want to pack into that, and that's the difference with immersion cooling, is you can pack it in tight. You use almost, you know, I don't want to say no water. There's some cases you do have to have some water, but on the smallest unit you need zero water, and much less power. So because you're not pushing all that cold air in. So that's how we're different. Not just the, you know, we're not boiling the ocean. We're providing a sovereign and responsible AI infrastructure. Oh,
well
Garrett,
said, Jerry. Thank you.
Thank you. And so I got a question. I guess let's just do a round robin here. As organizations prepare for future compliance and cybersecurity requirements, you know, what should security infrastructure teams prioritize on now? What should CIOs, CISOs, and infrastructure leaders prioritize today to future-proof their data center strategy?
It's great, and I'm going to have the facts are going to be given by you, Kashif. Because the first thing to do is you gotta focus on automation. And Robert had great discussions around zero trust. The CISA, the American CISA, stands for some acronym. Look it up. It's the they came up with what's called the Zero Trust maturity model. And where are you at it? If you're just doing everything manual, you're at the zero state. The beginner state is you start automating your access reviews and your identity and all your actions. Automation. The state above that, level 2, is when you start using things like triggers in your products to help you understand in real time. And the ultimate state of zero trust is when you have all the components working together, that this product triggers and gives information to that product. And that's what we're delivering with YouAttest, with automation and the trust scores and the et cetera, and delivering it to the other components in the EdgeRealm. Now, Kashif, let me put you on the spot. What is it like out there in the real world with our customers before they have YouAttest and they have no automation?
Oh, it was a complete nightmare. I mean, if I talk about one customer, the largest customer, they were doing it manually without automation, and it was taking them, if not months, then weeks to complete one attestation, you know, around the company, around the enterprise. But after they adopted YouAttest and they plugged their, you know, the whole GRC thing, the audit, the reviews and assignments and delegation into one workflow, they are now doing it every quarter, and for admin users, they're doing it every month. So it has substantially reduced the time it used to take them while they were doing all this, you know, on those worksheets and, you know, emailing and screenshots and, you know, chasing after who did, you know, did not, you know, complete the task. But now they have developed a whole GRC and identity audit team. Before it was like one user who was taking care of everything. Now they have distributed it, you know, in 19 countries with multiple admins, and everybody is responsible for their own audit. So they have really used the automation to the optimum level within their own organization as well.
Excellent.
Robert, back to you. What's your thoughts on that question? What should CISOs, CIOs, CISOs, and infrastructure leaders prioritize on to future?
Know where all your stuff is at. Seriously, I mean, this is the one thing, you know, to Kashif's point, that iteration of, you know, going from manually to automation is the same thing of what has to happen now, which is that CISOs need to go out there and they need to say, what is our security stack? Where is it? Like physically, where is it? Like is it virtualized, or is it hardware, or is it
that once a year audit can't keep up with it?
Well,
right?
Understand that they're not really. They ping it and they say there it is, but what they need to understand is why is it there, and a lot of this overhead that's been created, right? And it created because you're connecting with an infrastructure in the cloud, you're connecting with platforms, you're connecting with SaaS solutions. You have to have security at multiple layers. It's not just a one and done. It's not like putting the firewall in and everything that goes through it. No, you're now breaching other networks, crossing behind the lines of other networks, and going into different POPs and following across VLANs that you did not set up. And all I'm saying is if you're a CISO, go out there and say, what does it look like in truth? What is the blueprint of this? To the point you were making earlier, what does our blueprint look like? What is our actual network diagram? Not this pretty picture that we keep looking at that has everything in neat rows and boxes, but the actual sprawl of it. Where is it sitting and why is it there? And what you'll find is that a great amount of the latency that you're experiencing has nothing to do with your data. It has everything to do with what it's riding on and how congested that is, and how much of that data is having to bounce around before it gets to its user. All of that overhead can be negated in a big way by just containerizing the whole environment and putting the cloud in the box.
Absolutely. And so ER vaults, IRMP, integrated risk management process. It's a compliance engine continuously looking at and collecting evidence across that entire stack. So, and that's where we fit very well and do very well. 10 partners across that entire GRC wrapper. Garrett, what's one of the fastest growing attack surfaces right now is non-human identities. We talked about that a little bit. How does maybe Kashif, that's one for you. How does YouAttest handle NHI governance? And why does it matter?
I'll set it up, and then what Kashif will do is run a little demo to help us out.
Sure.
The number one attack is still privilege escalation and privilege, and also the insider version privilege creep and privilege drift, which is users are getting into our systems and okay, that's fine, but they escalate their privileges or they get added and they remain in groups where they shouldn't be, right? And one of the things about when we talk about AI is always AI hallucinations. Well, you can make anything hallucinate, including humans, if you add certain kind of data into them, right? And so what has to be addressed, and Kashif will show here, is you have to be able to review who has access. And that's what the YouAttest platform does. So the attack straight out is data poisoning, getting into your data and putting in data that will ruin and make the algorithms and the AI work as you want. The way to stop that is with mechanisms that trigger when someone gets out of that group and do attestations. With that set up, take it away, Kashif.
Sure. Thanks, Garrett. If I may ask you to show my screen, that'll be great. Thank you. So as you're looking at the dashboard here, this is our typical YouAttest dashboard integrated with one of the IAMs. Let's say in this case, it's Microsoft Entra ID. And as Garrett mentioned, for example, we have these triggers that we can set up before we create an audit so that whenever there are people, there are identities, or should I say there are entities that are either becoming part of a group, or if somebody is trying to remove an entity out of a group, for example, or a user profile, then it alerts the admin, it alerts whoever is taking care of the audit, whoever is taking care of the IT, that something is happening in that group and you should attend to it. But even before that, if you want to create an ad hoc audit to see who are the members of, for example, an AI data managers group who are managing AI, then you can, instead of waiting for that trigger to happen, to take place, you can proactively create an audit for those groups that manage AI data. So you can know who has access to what, who can modify within these groups, and if somebody is added or leaves that group, what is going to be the effect. So for example, if I go into the group audits right here, and I'll try to create a group audit for AI data managers, and see what it fetches. I'll just give it a name, AI data managers, just for the relevance. Choose the due date for this audit. Could be 3 days, could be a couple of weeks, depending upon the number of users. And now I look for a particular group that I want to audit here. And I'll just create this audit by pulling the data into YouAttest and see who are these people, who are the managers. Little refresh. And here it has pulled 4 unique entities. It could be human identities, it could be non-human identities. Whoever has got access to data, we are pulling those into this audit stream. And
And
now
that's
you
what
can
we
see
would
you
do
have,
in the edge realm. We'd pull in real time, pull the identities, and then allow this process to occur. Sorry.
Yeah.
Keep going.
yep, exactly. So you see the target, you see who are the owners of this target. In this case, it's a group. And then you see the users. It could be a human identity, it could be a non-human identity, but it has to have a manager, it has to have a supervisor controlling, or taking care of what or what not they can do or should do when they are part of this group. Because when you click on more details, it will give you a little bit more details about the title, what kind of identity you're dealing with, their last login, if there's a password. If it's an AI, then it's a token. You have the user role, whether it's active or inactive within the system. That's all information is coming in pretty handy when you're trying to decide whether this entity should have access to the group or not. But the real part comes in when you have either all the managers here, the direct supervisors, so you can auto delegate to them, or maybe you can appoint GRC or somebody from security group to take a look at those. For example, if I assign it to somebody called YA manager, and oh, I didn't do the assignment. Quick trigger fingers. Here we go again. YA manager. So let's assume this is the person we have designated for these kind of reviews for AI, and now I'm assigning all these users to this person to decide whether their access is appropriate, is it overprivileged, should they have that access at the first place. So once let me change the screen now and go to that reviewer, and this is what that reviewer gets, he or she, or it could be a group. And when that reviewer clicks on the link, it will take them right into the audit to decide whether these entities should have access to this group, so that they can, because once you're part of that group, you will inherit all the permissions that have been assigned to that particular AI manager's group. So once you have those permissions, you can do anything within the system, right? So this is where the owner or the reviewer decides, well, this person I want to certify, but this one, maybe, Wasim has left the organization a couple of months ago, or maybe he has moved to another role and he does not need these kind of permissions or these roles within the system. Let's revoke it instead of like letting it sitting there for ages and ages until something happens. And now I'll just do a couple more and certify the last one. This comes in with my name on it, and it's all time stamped. So it's not like a ghost activity. It's giving you the whole audit trail of who did what and at what time and what date.
Mhm.
So once this is done, I can either execute these revocations being an admin inside my Entra ID, my IAM, my identity source of truth, remaining within YouAttest, or I can download a report and send it off to the support desk to take care of those revocations manually. Whatever the protocol may be, you can just use this data, you can use this audit to execute those revocations and try to stop something from happening. And then you can, on top of that, you can add a layer of those triggers that whenever in future, after I conduct this audit, if something changes within this particular group, for example, notify me, not only notify me, but also create an audit out of that chain so somebody can take a look at it instead of waiting for the weekend, to be over. And then on Monday, he finds out, well, I should have done something about it, over the weekend.
Yep.
So this is what we are doing with the AI, with all the other groups, with applications, with individual users who have access, permissions.
I got about 10 minutes left, and it's my turn to put you on the spot. And I'm going to do that I want to talk about software supply chain real quick. It's now a primary attack vector, and OWASP top 10 for LLMs list supply chain as risk number 3. Right. So with it, like I said, we got a 10 partner GRC wrapper. Part of that wrapper is a solution that will actually has a build application firewall. So as the build that, 90% of applications today, about 70% of the code is open source. And so as the code's coming in, it will block any malicious code. It'll catch that. But I want to talk about identities as it relates to the software supply chain. Can you show real quick? I mean, you can bring your demo back up if you'd like. Maybe it's not set up to do that, or just talk to it. But how does identity governance help organizations control and audit third-party contractor and vendor access inside the data center perimeter? Those software applications.
Was that for me, Jerry? I'm sorry.
Yeah, that was. I put you on the spot, casual.
I put your screen back up.
Oh, you did. Just hold on. Is that my screen?
Yeah.
Oh, you can talk to it if you're not set up to show it. Sorry to throw you for a loop.
So the great question is everything, and we just did a webinar 2 weeks ago about SBOMs, right? Which is knowing who's actually part and parcel of the software that you're building. But the question here is, okay, great. So I have all this software which is giving access to that data. How do I quantify that, and how do I attest to it? Take it away, Kashif.
Sure. And there's a problem where you have these IAMs, but either there are some guest accounts or service accounts, or there are contractors and vendors or any other third-party software coming in. As long as they are part of the system, YouAttest is able to catch them. YouAttest is able to fetch their data, their metadata into. For example, if I give you the example of SharePoint and OneDrive, this was, for a long time, this was really a pain in the butt, and we also struggled with how to achieve this. But once we achieved it, we didn't stop it there, where we developed the capability to audit who has access to certain sites, or all the sites in SharePoint, or who has access to the libraries. It could be the vendors, it could be third-party contractors, it could be anyone from outside the domain. But the real problem was, well, once they're inside the domain either as a guest or as a vendor vendor account, what kind of files they have access to. And once they have access to those files in SharePoint and OneDrive, how are they sharing those files either within the domain, or they're taking those files outside the domain? So this was the pain point. What we did, we have now a system where we can see who has access to which file within the system. Plus, if anyone shares that file either to internal users or to external users, being contractors or vendors or any third-party software out there, either by sharing the anonymous link or by sharing, make them part of the SharePoint and OneDrive, those sharing capabilities. We not only detect them, we can also have their access revoked as well from within
Right.
the system. They
A
don't
lot of
know.
a lot of software applications are using AI within those applications. So there's an NHI in there, and you can help manage that as well. So, final
Yes.
thoughts, round robin on a final thoughts. We got 5 minutes left, folks. Garrett, start with you.
Kasha's done a great job at telling.
Yeah,
Bottom
thank you,
line
Joe.
is in the slides we showed. Bottom line is identity is key to anything you are building, and the most important thing you are building is your AI systems and your data systems, and that's why we partnered with EdgeRealm. That gives you the data sovereignty, but you still have to know who has access. Take it away, Robert.
You're on mute, Robert.
I'm mute.
Of course I am. Of course I am. Final thoughts really are that we're at a transition point. This is, if you think about the compute power that we have in our hand today is greater than all the big iron compute that's been done since it began to today. That big iron that's operating a lot of the back end systems and all of that are running this country, a lot of that big iron is not big in today's terms, in terms of its ability to do high performance computing. And so we have to look at those pieces inside of the operating stream and start to attenuate those in ways that we can start to cut out big chunks of waste inside of the process. I mean, I hate to say it, but companies like Oracle are going to be the ones that want to go out there and put their Hoover vacuum cleaner into their edge device, what I call a Hoover vacuum cleaner, into their clients, so that they can monitor and manage everything. And that's going to be for the benefit of the client, right? Well, actually, no, it's going to be for the benefit of Oracle.
Not necessarily.
Because they're going to learn everything that you do, and they're going to be able to do it for you. And if they can do it for you, they can do it for somebody else. And that's really the part that should get up everybody's craw, is that you've got decades of enterprise data and solution, and that has made you a competitive enterprise and entity out there, and now you're going to surrender all of that because they're going to give you some cool feature sets. That is not the path to go down. And so I'm just encouraging anybody out there that's that's in this space, that has to make a decision in this space in the next 6 months to a year, or has made decisions already and now is sitting back going, was that the best decision? Because at the end of the day, migrating everything up into the cloud is not necessarily the answer, and that's just my opinion. It's a growing opinion, and it's the opinion that says, if I do that, then I lose control, and he who has the control has the power.
It's all around sovereignty. I think I definitely see the pendulum swinging back the other direction. Yeah. Kashif, any final thoughts you want to share?
Yeah, I mean, I 100% agree with what Robert said, and it has to be, this is the right time. We are doing this, and we are getting ready for what's coming next. But yeah, I mean, it's the next, the non-human identities and all these workloads and CIDC jobs and data pipelines and AI agents. They have now outnumbered human identities anyway. So we have to look into this direction and learn to govern these AIs and what they can do within any system, any infrastructure.
Awesome. My final thoughts as we wrap this up, I do want to just thank everybody. I want to also encourage, go out to our website, EdgeRealm.ai, and take that sovereignty survey. Engage with us for a blueprint engagement. We would love to help make sure that you guys are ready for agentic AI in your business. Also want to announce forthcoming as we approach our 250th anniversary of our country, right? Our sovereign country. Where's our sovereignty come from? We are all sovereign. I believe. And it's sovereign and responsible AI starts with governance, right? It starts with governance. You've got to put guardrails around it. And so we're gonna right after the 4th of July celebration here, we are going to be announcing an upcoming new podcast, and we're going to call it Sovereign and Responsible AI. And you'll be able to find that just go to sovereignandresponsibleai.com